You want to swing wildly at the internet like you've got the new pill in your hand, but you keep getting dead battered. Find the movement you want with NordVPN. They are our protection against terrifying cyber threats and wide-battered geo-blocks. NordVPN will help you get through any rights restrictions so you can watch all the cricket you want. We aren't always happy with the wickets we're on. Sometimes we need a change. NordVPN can switch your virtual location so your IP address is ready to cash in. So if you need to get around the internet's rules, or I suppose in our case laws, select NordVPN. They can help you watch a game on a cheaper stream in another country. Give NordVPN the ball and let them penetrate all your vast internet issues. Because if you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also receive a 20-gigabyte daily data voucher. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a big hitter is coming for you at nordvpn.com/KIMBER right now. Thanks to NV Play's Data Insights for helping me with this video. They can help any cricket team improve their skills using their advanced technology.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 48 of the Crickpicks podcast. I'm Behram Qazi, who you can find at DefMango on Twitter. With me, of course, as always, is Estelle Vasudevan, who you can find at Estelle_Vasude, the number 1 on Twitter. And then we have Jarrod, who you guys can find literally everywhere. If you're new to Crickpicks, what we do in this show is that we take any generic cricket category and we draft our top 5 for that category. And sometimes we combine to create a team, or draft a team together. And that's what we'll be doing today as well, because the task is to draft an all-time Border Gavaskar Trophy team. And of course, there will be a 12th man as well. And just to specify the rules, there aren't many, right? Only rule is that a player from India has to have played Australian Test cricket and vice versa. And a snake-style draft.
I hope you've got a list of that, because I didn't check that at all.
Well, there are going to be very, very few players from
Australia.
Right?
I hope not. Yeah. I mean, Victor Trumper, unfortunately for him, doesn't make it.
Very, very unfortunate for Victor Trumper. But anyway, it's going to be a snake-style draft competition as always. So the pick order goes 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And I have landed first pick for this one. Couple of ways I could go over here. Lots of interesting names, some legends in there. But I kind of want to win this. So I'm going to go for Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar as my number 1 pick.
I've heard of him.
Sachin is the highest ever run scorer in Test cricket, and he averaged 53.78 across 200 Test matches. Now, 39 of those 200 tests came against Australia, where he averaged 55, so more than his overall average. And even in 20 Test matches in Australia, down under, he was averaging 53 plus. Loved playing the Aussies, had a special, I don't want to call it hatred, but he absolutely used to demolish Shane Keith Vaughan, and he had that flex. So yeah, I mean, it's a safe pick, although there were some guys with some insane numbers, and I'm sure they'll come up, but I went with Sachin for pick number 1.
So you went with, you have to be in form against India or against Australia.
Yes, so I went with that rationale.
But that's not mentioned in any of your rules.
It's not. You can give.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Estelle? Do you remember this being mentioned before?
No, but I think I thought like him as well. So.
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
It's an easy, safe first pick, and
it's
I wasn't
like
happy with my
Trophy all over again.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing. It is like the Champions Trophy all over it. There's nothing wrong with the pick. I'm not having a go at the pick. I'm more just trying to work out what where you two are going, because that allows me to pick really good players separate to you two that you may not pick because they don't have good records against either team.
I mean, you're allowed to do that. Any rationale is good. This is
I
why
know I'm allowed to do that.
I kept it open-ended just so that we could have this fun, I suppose. Anyway,
that's fine.
Estelle.
Okay, so that I think would have been my first pick as well, Sachin. But I will go, of course, with an Australian as my first one.
Is it Michael Clarke?
No, it's not. It's not.
Is it Brett Lee?
It's not my first pick, but Glenn McGrath will be my number 1. I think, again, it's very difficult to look past someone like him as a quick bowler overall, but also he's done well against India, right? Just looking at his numbers, 51 wickets in 11 tests, average of 18 and strike rate of 50. So, and 2 5-wicket hauls. So I think if you look at the fast bowlers, there are some obvious names. I would say he's at the top of the pile there.
It's interesting, right? Because even in India, he's played 8 test matches and taken 33 wickets over here. He's averaging 21.3, and his average versus India and in India is better than his overall average. And his overall average is like 21.5 or something. So he clearly was at his best when he used to face India.
Yeah, I mean, he bowled brilliantly in Asia, didn't he? And Australian seam bowlers had never really worked that out before McGrath. Lilly never played there that much, but even a lot of the other, quality seamers that went over weren't particularly thought of as good in those conditions. And he was the one that really changed everything, I think, from that perspective. And there was a whole series where they just left him outside off stump, which really changed his career because he started bowling differently after that as well. Yeah.
So we've got the Little Master and Pidge as our first 2 picks. And now Jarrod has 2 consecutive ones. Here we go.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just going to go Don Bradman as my first pick. A little bit shocked that everyone was just leaving him on the board. I don't really understand the thought process there. He's quite a good cricketer. I don't know if you two have heard of him. But and then I'll just go Sunil Gavaskar because, again, you two being stuck in the 90s has just allowed me to take 2 incredible cricketers for fun there. No, I think that's probably the correct top 4. There's a couple of other players maybe you could fit in. But yeah, Don Bradman. I remember someone telling me at one stage, it's like, Don Bradman wasn't tested because he didn't bat in India. And I was like, if Don Bradman went up against the teams that India had in India at that time, Don Bradman would have still averaged the same. It's very different if he had to go up against, Bumrah and Ashwin and Jadeja and all these sorts. But in those days, he would have probably made more runs, and he tormented India, of course, as well in those days. And Sunil Gavaskar, probably in the top, handful of openers of all time, and certainly made a lot of runs against Australia. He averaged 50 against Australia, I think.
Yeah, so he played 20 test matches versus Australia, averaged 51.66, and even in 11 test matches down under, he was averaging 51 plus. 8 of his 34 tons came versus Australia, so he was definitely high up there in the order for me.
I think he might have made, I could be wrong, actually, I need to go back through the list, but I think he might have made some of those runs against the World Series cricket team, and I don't know if that changed. I can't remember if he made so many runs that changes his record, but no, certainly I had no issue with him there. So thank you for allowing me Don Bradman, and I'll pick up Sonny on the way back.
I was interested in Don Bradman, but then I was like, I don't know. He only played 5 tests versus India, but his average was 175, I think.
Was it?
He only averaged 175 against India. It wasn't 175, by the way. That's disrespectful. It was 178.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, do you know what? He really, we talk about 99.94. He really averaged around the 80s against England, who was the best team. It's against India and the West Indies and South Africa, where he averages about 120 combined or something ridiculous against those 3. So, it was almost a failure against England.
Yeah, just averaging 80, right? Who wants that? Anyway, Estelle, your second pick is?
Yeah, it's interesting. The Bradman one means that you're probably not going to have a Ricky Ponting in this side, right? Because Bradman's
well, you could
3.
There's other batting spots, Estelle.
There is, and there is also an Australian batter who loves playing against India.
Okay. Okay. My next pick. Okay, so Jarrod's one. The Bradman has thrown me a bit. Sunil Gavaskar was in my team as well. Let me see.
You didn't have Bradman.
No, I didn't, because I picked people who done well in the
oh, okay.
Between it. Yeah. Between the
she worked at 99.94, didn't she, Jarrod?
I did.
And apparently that number meant nothing to her.
Yeah, very blasphemous by Estelle, not even having Bradman on her long list.
No, because I think it wasn't an official rule, but I guess in my head it was that whoever has performed well against
what
India
have we learned?
Australia.
If you put in your own artificial rules here, the other people will exploit them and beat you.
All right. Okay. I think she's just buying herself time.
She is definitely just buying
I
herself
am. Okay, so I will go with another one that I think is simple enough because he is overall a great and he's been good against the opposition as well. I go with Bumrah as my number two
Yeah,
pick. So the two quick
very safe.
bowlers. Because I don't want to make a controversial pick so early. Bumrah is an easy one. He's got a good record. He hasn't played that much against Australia yet, but of course he's done well in the few games he has, and I mean we can all accept that he's one of the best we've seen, right? So
Absolutely. No, I mean,
I
he's
had him
only-
on my list. I mean, the only issue you have with him is that he hasn't played all that much cricket in general, let alone between these two. But I don't think that's a huge issue here. I think we know how good he is now. I think he's. I still want him to get to 200, 250 wickets just because I want him to get that many wickets. But I think he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, he
Yeah,
has played
otherwise, like-
7 tests, right? 7 tests versus Australia is a fair enough sample size. He's got 32 wickets at 21 apiece. So, I mean, he's a solid pick.
He
This
has
is the
to
first
get, like-
time. This is the first time he's not first pick, by the way.
not first pick. Yeah. Also, like if he doesn't get the 200, 250 in 20 years, people are going to be like, oh,
That's what I
he
mean.
played- yeah.
So he kind of has to get it from
Yeah.
from that side of things. I don't want to be in a situation where people are like, "Oh, he didn't actually play that much cricket." It's like, well, he did. He was just injured a lot, and he was awesome. And shut up! I'm just practicing
Jarrod.
my analysis before. It's not me. It's you.
Yeah, no, it is me, but tell me the team.
You have to.
Gavaskar is opening. Bradman at 3, Tendulkar at 4, McGrath at 11, and
11.
or
Bumrah
10.
at 10.
Or, yeah, however you want to have them.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to pick another opener, and it's easy enough. Matty Hayden. I think every single time Hayden has been mentioned on this show, he has been my pick, and I am a sucker for left-handers. He averages 50 plus in 103 test matches. So him and Gavaskar both actually will be averaging 50 plus, which is quite cool. Very rare for an opener. And versus India, he played 18 test matches, averaging 59. So he was better versus India.
Yeah.
And even in India, he played 11 test matches and averaged 51. So it was that 2001 series, right, where he really came to the fore. And I mean, yeah, Gavaskar and Hayden opening the batting sounds good enough to me.
Yeah, it's a good mix, isn't it? Left hand, right hand. You've got attacking and defensive and everything else. So I've got no problem with that. What was Sehwag's record? He
I think
averages about
Sehwag is
40.
probably the other one who you can consider, right?
Yeah, he averages about 40, I think, in those games. So yeah, I think that's fair. Bob Simpson also made a lot of runs against India. I would assume a lot of those are at home, but I can't remember now. In fact,
Anyway.
it was at home. He played. I just remembered. He came back as a 40-year-old and captained. He hadn't played cricket for 9 or 10 years, and he captained Australia because of World Series cricket. So he makes a bunch of runs against India in that series, and then goes over to the West Indies and gets bombed and never plays again because he's like, "This is a stupid decision. I don't mind facing Bisham Beatty. Why would I want to face Michael Holding and Wayne Daniels?"
Yeah. Anyway, so I have my third pick now, and this is an interesting one because we'll need all-rounders. And I was looking at pace bowling all-rounders, and there weren't many, but there was one which was sticking out like a sore thumb. And yeah, that's why pick number 3 for me is Kapil Dev. 79 of his 434 wickets came versus Australia across 20 test matches. He had an average of 25 odd versus Australia, which is 4 runs better than his overall bowling average. He also played 11 tests in Australia, taking 51 wickets in them, right? So that was at 24 and a half. So, really, really good bowling versus Australia. And then with the bat, he was averaging just under 20 in Australia, but his overall average versus Australia is around 26. So I'm thinking maybe we can slot him in at like number 8.
Yeah, I mean, he's good enough to be a frontline bowler, I don't think. And we still have opportunities for other all-rounders if we want them in this side. So I don't have any problems with Kapil Dev there. I had him in my team as well.
Cool. All right, Estelle. it's you
Okay,
again.
my one. Okay, I'm really glad that I've got to pick him. I'll go with Adam Gilchrist as the wicket keeper for this team.
So this is a pick that is probably the right pick. But if you pick Rishabh Pant, you might have won the competition.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had both of them. I had both of them on my list. But then since you picked Don Bradman, then I started thinking about, okay, so who's the better overall player, right? You have to, at this point at least, it has to be Adam Gilchrist. So
Yeah.
I think that's a straightforward pick at as the keeper. Maybe not even at number 7 if we have that extra all-rounder in the team.
Exactly. And I mean, he doesn't have the best record versus India, but like who else, right? It was Pant
Yeah.
or Gilchrist, and I was also tilting towards Gilchrist.
Okay.
But he's not
Yeah,
wrong.
no.
Had you picked Pant, you might have won this.
Okay, no one's winning. No one other than you is winning it because you picked Sachin at number 1,
True,
right? So
true. And I have Kapil Dev as well. So those are two very strong picks, votes-wise.
Just pick, just hit Virat as your 12th man, and then just walk into the sunset.
Isn't it crazy how both Smudger and Virat have not been picked yet?
Well, I am going to go with. Yeah, I'm going to go with Steve Smith as number 5. Oh, he's not a number 5. He could bat at number 5. It's
Yeah.
not an issue if he could bat at number 5. And I wonder what I should do with my other spot. Actually, no, I'm just going to go Ravi Jadeja
Yeah.
That's safe.
with my other spot there. So
that's safe, but it puts us in a fix now because there's no.
Well, I have the privilege of picking 12th man, so it puts you in a fix, Estelle, not me. But yeah, Smith, I just want to read out his record over here. He's got 2,000 plus test runs versus India in 19 games, which is insane, right? He's averaging nearly 66, and he's got a 50 plus average in 10 tests in India as well. 900s versus that opposition. It's insane.
he's very good. He's a very good cricketer. He should keep playing.
And
Does
even
it-
Jadeja, right?
Yeah.
89
Yeah.
wickets versus Australia. It's crazy. At 19 apiece, he's also gotten
Yeah.
like 14 wickets in 4 games in Australia, right? At 22
Like
apiece.
if you look at the 3 current spinners, right, like Jadeja, Ashwin, and Lyon, you have to pick him at the top, right? His record is insane. That's without considering the fact that he can offer a lot with the bat as well.
No, definitely.
Yeah, no,
Also,
absolutely.
I like the idea of Gilchrist at 6 and Kapil at 8 with Jadeja in the middle. So Jadeja just blocking while the other two are just wildly slogging everything.
Yeah. Also, Jadeja's only played 4 tests in Australia, but he's averaging 43.75 with the bat over there, which is like 8.5 runs more than what he averages overall, which is crazy. Okay, so
Okay.
Estelle again? Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So I
just paused because I knew that she wasn't going to give the answer straight away because she doesn't know what to do. There's
Yeah,
there's an obvious answer here.
don't tell me
Yes.
there's an obvious one. That makes it worse because I
There's
know I don't
such
have
an
the
obvious answer. And if we had this player in our team would be ridiculously deep with in one particular way. But I'm sure you'll pick someone else.
Oh,
What's the
God.
team right now, actually? Can you
The
repeat
team
it?
right now is Sunil Gavaskar, Matt Hayden, Don Bradman, Sachin Tendulkar, Steve Smith, Adam Gilchrist, Ravi Jadeja, Kapil Dev, blank, Jasper Bumrah, Glenn McGrath.
Wow, that's a strong team.
It's not a bad team.
Okay.
We should do this with lots of different 11s. It'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Okay. Pat Cummins.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it does give us deeper batting, though. But
We've
who
got
did
too
you
much-
have in
It
mind?
had to be a spinner.
That gives me a great option for my 12th man, actually. But
It had to be
I'm
a spinner. We've got
I'm cool with
Kapil
this.
Dev, Jasper Bumrah, and Glenn McGrath. What's Pat Cummins going to do? Hang out with them?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Pat Cummins.
wasn't on my
because
team.
He wasn't, but you just
No.
said, you nodded your head.
I can. It makes sense to me from a bowling perspective if it's like a seamer friendly track. But what are his numbers versus India? I reckon they'd be
Let
good.
me see. Yeah, let me see.
hoping she's
13
checked that.
matches. 13 matches, 50 wickets, averaging 26, strike rate 54.
So
which
his bowling
is-
average isn't as good as Gillespie's or Bishan Beatty's or Ray Linwell's or Mackenzie's. Mackenzie was
just-
probably
Yeah.
Mackenzie was probably a better. Mackenzie was probably the other guy before McGrath that actually bowled well in Asia as well and was famed for that. He wasn't a particularly great bowler. Anyway, okay.
All right.
I
then.
mean, he's not bad. Like and like. I get that. I just think that it feels like we're missing another spinner for no reason.
Well, I mean, if we look at records versus the opposition, my pick is terrible. But I'm going to use the same Gilchrist loophole over here and just pick a legend because he doesn't have to play. And you can rest him if need be. So, yeah, Shane Keith won as 12th man.
Okay.
Terrible record versus India. He was averaging like,
You've
what,
broken
40,
your own rule here. Halfway
47,
through.
I think. Is his
I think
average
that's
in the
why
ball
he
versus
keeps
India.
it open-ended so that he can go back on it.
I mean, look, would it make sense to have this combined team without one?
I didn't have him in my 11.
He's not in the 11, Jarrod.
Yeah. Because I think you're missing another Australian leg spinner.
Oh, is it Jack Iverson? No, he's a carom ball bowler.
You two both told me that you spent a lot of time looking at records versus between India and Australia. There's a fairly famous Australian leg spinner who did very well in that series. Richie Benaud.
Oh, okay.
Benno.
Richie Benaud, 8 matches, 52 wickets, and an average of 18.
That's crazy.
And you went with Warne, who averages about 42 against India. Plus, if we put Benaud in at 9, right, we've got batting to number 9.
We've got a history of messing up the leg spin.
Pat Cummins
it's part of Crickpicks.
Oh, Pat Cummins is not Richie Benaud. What are we talking about here? No one's picking Pat Cummins ahead of Richie Benaud in that position. Look, no, Warne's not the end of the world, but yeah, I would have gone Richie Benaud, but I just assumed one of you would pick him because you two both talked about how you were looking at it. He has the best average of those two in Australia-India Test matches ever.
You know what? I completely forgot about him. I didn't even look him up.
So yeah, no, he's
That's
a very
because
good
you and I have picked from like 1990 onwards.
Yeah. And if Jarrod had 12th man pick, he would have gone for Jack Iverson, surely.
I don't know if Jack Iverson played against them, did he?
Oh.
I don't think he did. I think he only plays England. I don't think he played that many Test matches. Okay, I still can't believe we didn't slip Richie in there. There was Ray Linwell averaged 20 against India over 10 Test matches as well. Bisham Beatty always did well against Australia. He takes 56 wickets at 25. Gillespie had a better average than Cummins, so he averages 25 with 43 matches. Peter Siddle has a pretty good record against India.
Yeah.
He averages 26.
And
as
Ben
well.
Hilfenhaus.
Hilfenhaus.
Yeah.
Do you know of the players with 35 wickets who has the worst average but in these series?
Can
it
you
Pat
give us...
Cummins?
Is it?
It's your 12th man.
Oh, yeah, Shane Warne, of course. Hey, you pick... someone picked Gilly. Estelle picked Gilly. So I mean, those are the
But Gilly
rules.
made a
There's
great
no
100.
other option, right? There's no other player who's been better.
Hey, Jarrod, in 2004, Warne did well in India as well. I can throw that at you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and he got smashed every other time. We don't have VVS, by the way.
Yeah.
He
I
was on
had
my list.
VVS in my team
Yep.
I kind of thought about him as 5, but Smith's
because
just
I
a
didn't
better
have
player.
Bradman.
Yeah, of course. Why would anyone need Bradman?
Also, Virat didn't make it.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't have
but
Virat in mine because it had to be. You can't pick Tendulkar, Smith, and Virat,
Yes.
right?
That's true.
Yeah, so what's his record against Australia altogether, Virat? It's like 47, isn't it? It's because he hasn't made many runs against Australia at home, I think.
Yep.
He's made all the runs away, so he's probably a little bit unlucky. Pujara's probably a
Pujara?
little bit,
Yeah.
bit unlucky as well. Mike Hussey, maybe another one. But
But
it's
Pujara
pretty
was
hu-
competing with the Don.
Michael Clark.
Yeah. Michael Clark as well. I mean, the problem is once you have Bradman and Tendulkar and
Yeah.
Smith, it's like, it's not like, I think Simpson and Sehwag are both very unlucky again. But there isn't. But there is one, who is the player with 1,000 runs in this series that we haven't picked at an average of 70?
Whoa. Is it a recent player?
No, but it is from, I was going to say it's from Estelle's golden era. It's kind of from just before Estelle's golden era, I would probably.
Is it Chappelli?
No, but after Chappelli, before Brett Lee.
Taylor?
Nope.
What?
Okay, I don't know.
No,
no,
I think
David
Vaughan
Boone.
has- Oh,
David Boone averages 70 versus India. That's insane.
Yeah, so he averaged 70.82. He made 600s in 11 games. So, but he bats at 3. Or you could have used him as an opener. He did open quite a bit as well, but he's more known as a number 3 altogether. Vishwanath had an average of 53. Border had an average of 52. Like, there's a lot of batters
Murali
here.
Vijay, it was also good, right? Like I think
Yeah.
he has a better record than Sehwag.
I
like,
think
between
Murali
West
VJs
Indies.
is mostly at home though, isn't it? I don't remember him making any runs in Australia unless I've just forgotten. Or I should say I don't remember him making a lot of runs in Australia. But yeah, no, Murali VJ. Simon Kadich
Yeah. I
has a
remember
good
him
record
scoring
there as well.
runs.
So there's a few players, but yeah, once you get to the thing of like literally putting in Bradman Tendulkar, it just and also we moved Gilchrist up to 6, so we actually had one a fewer spot available to us
Yeah.
for specialists. I'm just having a look here. Merely VJ did all right in Australia, actually. He made 100 and averaged 44. So his numbers hold up better in Australia than they do in some of the other places. I know he struggled in some of the other places. I suppose Australia doesn't have a lot of sideways seam movement, and that was the thing he didn't really like, is the ball nipping around. Let's go through our team.
Okay.
Sunil Gavaskar, Matt Hayden, Don Bradman, Sachin Tendulkar, Steve Smith, Adam Gilchrist, Ravi Jadeja, Kapil Dev, Pat Cummins, Jasprit Bumrah, Glenn McGrath, and Shane Warne. I mean, it's pretty good. Isn't it?
It's one of our better teams, yes. What about individually? Like, can you read out the picks?
Individually, Behram went Sachin Tendulkar, Matt Hayden, Kapil Dev, Shane Warne. Estelle went Glenn McGrath, Jasprit Bumrah, Adam Gilchrist, Pat Cummins. I went Don Bradman, Sunil Gavaskar, Steve Smith, and Ravi Jadeja. So,
all quite strong, right? I mean, anyone could win this.
I wonder if your Sachin Tendulkar / Matt Hayden picks are strong enough to overcome the fact that every Indian is going to be like, but Shane Warne was terrible when he played against us.
That's true. That is very, very true. And, I wish I'd looked up Benno's record. But you know what? I might still have picked Warne because it didn't make sense in my head to not have him at all.
What was Kumble's record? What was Ashwin's record?
Kumble was pretty good as well, right? I think even Harbhajan was pretty good.
Harbhajan was great versus Australia.
Oh, Harbhajan, yeah. I mean, I suppose that's mostly at home. They both average around 30. And what's Ashwin? I can't even see Ashwin on here. Ashwin averaged 28. So they're all roughly the same. Of them, Beatty is probably the one. If you're going for, if you don't pick Richie Benno, and we already had Jadeja, Beatty is probably the next spinner that stands out. And then you've got Chandrasekhar, Doshi, Ashwin, Prasanna, Harbhajan, Kumble, Lyon, all within a couple of runs of each other, right, on either side. So, no, that's quite interesting, actually, having a look at it. And Ishant Sharma averaged 42 but in matches against Australia, which is 5 runs better than Shane Warne.
Are there any left-armers who we could have potentially picked? Because,
I think Stark has a poor record versus India, doesn't he?
Well, Johnson
Zahir?
does. Yeah, Johnson and Mitchell Johnson and Zahir Khan both average in the mid-30s, and Stark is 38. So you're right, he has an even worse record against them overall. So you tanked. I'm not saying you've tanked it, but you've made it a little bit risky at the end with Shane Warne. Estelle's is quite interesting because there will be Rishabh Pant fanboys who are going to be upset at that. But if you like pace bowling, she's kind of nailed that. So that's fine. Mine's quite interesting because it's Bradman, Gavaskar, Smith, and Jadeja. I don't know where the general consensus of fan groups will go with that order. There might be some. Bradman never played in India. Fine. I think he would have been okay. But yeah, so yeah, that is our list. Let us know whether Behram did tank it with his last pick.
Yes, please. And that pretty much brings an end to this episode of Crickpicks. Just a quick reminder for you guys, you can go to goodareas.co and bookmark that webpage, and that can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the work that we do as part of this team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. Also, let us know if we've missed mentioning any players over here which you felt had a solid case to be in this team. I think we've kind of done well with the honorable mentions, but we'd love to know your 12s as well. So let us know in the comment section below, and we'll catch you next week with another episode of Crickpicks. But that is all for now. Goodbye.
If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips. Try Minvo.pro now.